holds his representatives and his local leaders accountable, and has spent a night in jail to prove it. And no fault of his own. And I don't know if he wants to talk about that or not, or just wants to talk about how he got done, the many things he got done in the legislature, and the many different paths. I know James White talked about the different paths you sometimes have to take to make something happen. Well, that's from the legislator side, and I think Terry is going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that advocates and grassroots people have to do to make things happen in the legislature. So, Terry Holcomb.
Thank you. All right. All right, my name is Terry Holcomb. I'm the Executive Director of Texas Carry, and I've spent several nights in jail. It kind of comes with the territory of true activism. Then when you push back against unlawful acts, then they will use unlawful acts to try and silence you. So, of course, all the arrests have always been dismissed, because I absolutely do follow the law and believe in the law. So I have a question. So we're all here to talk about open carry. I'm going to do this a little bit different today because it's occurred to some of us that have worked so hard and put so much skin in the game that I think the media, law enforcement even, do I have any law enforcement officers in here before I go off? Okay. So how many of you, first of all, support the fact that we passed open carry in the 84 session? All right. How many of you have open carried since we've done it? Now, keep your hands up if you have. Now, everybody take a look around. Guys, you are killing me. Killing me. A right not exercised is a right soon lost. There's this whole fear factor out there that's been perpetrated by law enforcement, by the media. So on January 1, right, I went to the Capitol. I'm sure we got pre-trib, we got mid-trib, we got post-trib people in here, right? I'm also a pastor, so I know what all that means. So I'm kind of a pre-trib guy. I don't put my life on it, but I'm kind of a pre-trib guy. So I ran to Austin on January 1st because I thought the world was going to end. Right? Open carry came into effect January 1, and I was certain, according to the Bloomberg cult and the media, the world was going to end. Lo and behold, that was kind of cool. Lo and behold, the world did not end. Law enforcement was going to be overwhelmed with 911 calls. Lo and behold, there has not been a single 911 call in Dallas, Harris County, or Houston. Those are the places you would expect to see it. Not even in Austin. Right? So, no big deal. I open carry 100% of the time. It's very natural for me. It's no big deal. Listen to me. Don't believe the myth that you become a target. You become a deterrent. If it was true that open carry made you a target, law enforcement would conceal. Very simple. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. And Jeff, where's Jeff at? Should the Lord never let somebody from the legislature come and talk before me? It gets my blood pumping. I'm sitting there going, what constitutional authority does the state have to mandate education, period? I was just like, where are we going with this? He was talking about truancy and how we didn't want to make it a crime if they didn't go. Who are you to even say that people have to do that? Right? Go ahead, clap. It's okay. Statists are going to state. And by the way, he's a very good friend of mine. All right. So I'm going to go over this. One of the things that we believe in, and one of the things I think you believe in, and one of the things that we're trying to get people to understand is if we can get community and law enforcement to work with the gun community, I think you will see things go a lot smoother. We've been traveling all over the state, educating the law enforcement that will let us, because some of them don't believe that we deserve to be in their little world, even though I'm smarter than they are. You would be surprised at how much bad information comes out of law enforcement. That's just the reality of it. They don't know the law. They know what somebody told them, but they don't know the law. But we believe if we can work with community, we can work with law enforcement through education, and really through education and relationship building, that will actually bring us to a place where all this false narrative just kind of goes away over time. So folks, this actually works with everything. Through education and relationship building is how we can truly advance our cause. Now, yes, we have to have people like myself that are called to do certain things in certain times of history. So I tell people this all the time. In the 1980s, I would not have been called. The Lord would not have put a calling on my heart to do what I'm doing now, to be in politics like I am in politics now, to get arrested for that matter. But this is a different time of history, so the Lord is putting it on different people's hearts to step into the fight at this point, because this isn't the 80s anymore. We don't have the Reagan Democrats anymore. The government continues to infringe upon our lives. I challenged someone the other day, tell me one area of your life that the government doesn't touch. Just one. Give me one. Right? You can't even say parenting anymore. You just can't say that. They touch it. The food you eat, they're touching it. Try and get raw milk. Good luck. Okay? And so this is something that I think we can all learn from if we can truly educate. Because we know, we're recording this, aren't we? We know the electorate is uneducated. They really don't know who they're voting for. And some of them don't even know why they're voting. And we have what, 10% turnouts in primaries? Primaries are everything. And folks, we need to quit talking about the federal government. Stop talking about it. It's gone. And you're not getting it back. We need to start talking about the state government. Right? So we don't need to talk about whether Obama's going to be trying to come in and confiscate our guns. He is not going to come in and take Texas guns. Not going to happen. So don't say it. We need to talk about what Texas is doing, infringing upon our rights. We have the highest tax to exercise a God-given right. In the country, $140. It's the highest in the state. We need to talk about Texas. We need to be talking about our Texas legislatures. We need to talk about our city mayors. We need to talk about our county judges and our commissioners. This is what we need to be focused on, because if the federal government decides they're going to try and confiscate guns, we want our sheriffs and our commissioners court and our mayors and our legislatures and our senators saying, no, you're not coming to Texas doing that. And this is how we do it, through education and relationship building. So, you're going to get a crash course in the open carry law. I typically do a 2-hour seminar on all this, but we're going to be really fast, okay? One of the reasons that not enough people are open carrying today is because all the misinformation out there, all the horrible, horrible, intentional miscommunication out there. I mean, I've been open carrying around here now for 2 days. Nobody said nothing. Right? Nobody cares. And I'm in Austin. All right? Nobody cares, regardless of what people want to make you think. I go to Starbucks all the time. My wife and I, open carrying, nobody cares. I keep trying to find somebody that cares. So I'm going to give you a little statistics. In Texas, we see this title here, Understanding Texas Open Carry Laws, Mission Impossible. And the reason we put that up like this is because percentage-wise, Texas has a very, very, very low ratio, a very low percentage of its citizens that actually are carrying a gun under the licensing system compared to the other 13 states that do this. Oklahoma has a higher percentage of citizens that carry under their licensing law. And in Texas, we have 26 million people, and we only have 940,000 CHL license holders. Okay? That's terrible. That's a terrible, terrible number. It's 4%. And what we've learned over the last 30 days is out of that 4%, only 0.5% of that 4% are actually open carry. It's driving us crazy. Because this is what I keep hearing people say. I haven't seen anybody. I haven't seen anybody open carrying. I drive all over the state just so somebody can see somebody, right? That's not good, right? If you believe it, you support it, you don't do it. I'm not saying do it all the time. Pick and choose, right? And we'll talk about why, but I'm wondering why more people aren't open carrying here. We know I know half y'all in here got guns, right? So why aren't you open carrying, right? Ask us, why not? You know? Well, you know, I don't want to freak anybody out. Don't think like that. That's wrong thinking. Okay? If somebody's scared of a gun, they need to go get psychiatric help. And then, I mean, not only is this the U.S., this is Texas, right? You can go to Oklahoma today. I go to Oklahoma and I open carry. I can go into a bank. Nobody cares. In Arizona, you go walk around open carrying wherever you want. Nobody cares. People, they'll get over it. And we just need to see more folks open carrying. So understanding Texas open carry laws, the reason more people don't have it is not what you think. The reason is because there's so many tripwires in Texas law. People were afraid to get a CHL because it was very easy to just raise your arm up, let your gun be exposed, and then boom, you now broke the law. But we believe, without a doubt, that through education and relationships that we can unlock the knowledge so that everyone can be secure. So we want law enforcement to be knowledgeable, we want our local governments to be knowledgeable, and most importantly, we want you to be knowledgeable. Because knowledge, I'm telling you, is power. When you know you're right, you can stand on being right without fear of what's going to happen if you get arrested. You say, how do you do that? Well, because I know I'm right. I know I'm going to win. No matter what, I'm going to win. Yeah, am I going to suffer along the way? Sure. Sure. Being in Travis County Jail is not fun, people.
No.
Not fun. Not a fun experience. It's literally was the worst 10 hours that I've experienced in my life. It's terrible. And but with knowledge comes power. And comes great responsibility. Once you have the knowledge, you need to use the knowledge to educate others. So, Texas Carry is leading in a gun rights restoration period here in Texas. Literally, folks, you are experiencing history in the making. Literally. We are living in a time when we get to experience a 144-year ban being lifted from Texas citizens. A 144-year, a ban that has been in place since 1871, when the carpetbaggers came in and we went through all the reconstruction and all of that. And they decided that they were going to restrict Texas citizens' gun rights, and it was for multiple reasons. They wanted to suppress the freed black slaves. They didn't want them taking up arms. Couldn't have somebody that just got freedom actually exercising it, especially the right of self-protection. And then they wanted to suppress those that had lost, in the war. So they came, and by the way, we were only one of a few states that happened to. The rest of the country was able to fully exercise this right. That's kind of scary when you think about it, right? So how does Texas stack up against the rest of the country? Because if we had an NRA or a TSRA representative, excuse me, wash my mouth out when I say stuff. If we had them in here, they would tell you how great of a Second Amendment state we were. I could get Senator Joan Huffman in here right now, and she would say, I am just pro-Second Amendment as they come. I stand on the Second Amendment, but by God, if you exercise that right, I'm going to make it a felony if you do.
Right. That's Joan Huffman.
Okay? How does Texas stack up? How many of you really believe, comparatively to the rest of the nation, that Texas is doing okay? We know it's not perfect, right? Because I just told you we're paying a license fee. But compared to the rest of the nation, how many of you think Texas is a decent Second Amendment state? Now, don't go far right on me, right? Because we're not Alaska. Don't try and compare us to the 5 states that have constitutional carry. Compare us to the rest of the nation. How are we doing? I'm going to tell you. How does Texas stack up? Take a good long look at this map. Before January 1st, 2016, we were in bed with California, Illinois, and New York. We were one of 6 states that did not allow open carry of a handgun. People were like, Terry, why were you doing all the things you were doing? Why were you going nuts? Why were you wearing long guns? How many of y'all remember all the long guns in the news? How many of you remember that? I want you to be very honest with me here. how many of you, it made you cringe a little bit? Okay? Right? How many of you maybe thought, that's making gun owners look bad? Right? That's why it's called a protest. Think about it a minute. It's called a protest for a reason, right? In 2011, the legislature ignored us. George Lavender carried a licensed open carry bill, right? Oh, we're just these horrible radicals, right? We were going with licensed open carry. The legislature ignored us, the TSRA would not help us, and the NRA would not help us. In 2013, once again, the legislature ignored us. TSRA specifically said, not a priority for us, not interested. And we're all, and Texas Carry didn't even exist yet. And we're all sitting there going, we don't have a voice up here at all. They're just ignoring us. And so Representative Pickett, Democrat from El Paso, was over the Homeland and Security Committee in 2013, and we specifically told them that if you do not bring this bill out of committee and get it to the floor, we're going to strap on our long guns and we're going to walk across every city in this state. They did not believe us. They really should have. Because for 104 straight weeks, it was in the news every single week. And in the interim between sessions, Senator Estes called an interim hearing at the order of then Lieutenant Governor Dewhurst. He and I met. And all of them saying, will y'all please stop doing what you're doing? Right? So they called the interim hearing, and Senator Estes was the chair of the hearing, and right there he said, guys, we've heard y'all. We've got the message. Will you please stop? So was it controversial? That's why we did it. If we had it to do over again, would we do it the exact same way? Of course not. We made mistakes. Just as every organization and movement does. There were mistakes made. We will never live down the Chipotle's picture. That's just, and great guys too, right? It's just from a PR perspective, it tanked. It was terrible. And two super great guys. It's just the way it was framed and the way it was used in the media, it just was a big deal. I want you to take a look at Orange. Okay? As of January 1st, 2016, Texas went orange. That's now 14 licensed, so you have to pay the tax to exercise your God-given right. How many of y'all think we should have to have a tax to exercise our right? None of you. Now, I want y'all to think about this. Then why do you have a problem with me carrying my long gun because I refuse to pay the tax? Okay. So there are different ways to look at this, right? So now we join the other 14 states. The most important part of this map is the yellow. 31 unlicensed open carry states. 31 unlicensed open carry states. Look up here. Boy, a state in the nation, Vermont. Isn't that where Bernie's from? Bernie Sanders state, and they have constitutional carry. What am I missing here? Go Bernie, right? You need to edit that, all right? I can see the clip going out now, right? They've been constitutional carry states since their inception. You don't need a license to open or conceal carry in Vermont. I told my wife if it wasn't so dang cold up there and they weren't so blue, I'd go up there. New Mexico. Certainly not a conservative state. Certainly not. They're blue. Look, if your state voted for Obama, you need to get saved and baptized. There's no coming back from that, right? So they're unlicensed to open carry. Louisiana, unlicensed open carry for 100 years. And everybody was mad at us because we were upset with Texas, because we were in bed with California, Illinois, and New York. Come on. The problem is people aren't educated. And if people aren't exercising the right, they don't feel the pain of it being slowly taken away. This is embarrassing. So Texas Carry is bringing it. We knock out the myths. What do I mean by that? So this is where I like to walk and talk. Okay? When we were going through session, the world was literally going to end if somebody saw my gun. Do you know what really changed from December 31st, 2015 to January 1st, 2016? The only thing that really changed is now the shirt is on the inside of my holster instead of on the outside. The only thing that changed is you can see it. Didn't expand the people that were carrying, right? Didn't expand the places you could carry. None of that changed. Literally the only thing that changed is you could see it. Oh my God. I know why psychologists get paid a lot of money. You know, the Bloomberg cult's going out there, you know, saying, well, we don't want to see it, we don't want to see it. I'm going to tell you something about the Bloomberg cult. Everybody know who I'm talking about?
Yes.
Mayor, former New York City mayor.
The Bloomberg cult in Texas has another set of initials. It's called MDA. I don't say their name. God has forbid me from saying their name.
Amen.
If you want to say their name, somebody in here, you can say it. Everybody know who MDA is?
Yes.
Anybody doesn't?
No.
Somebody say it for me.
Mother's
Mom's
Man
Man
Action.
Mad Mommy.
Oh.
So they're down here screaming and hollering, opposing open carry, saying, oh, the little kids are going to be terrified and petrified. They're going to be scarred for life psychologically. Let me tell you what they're doing up in West Virginia right now. They're up going, no, we can't do this for concealed carry. People need to be able to see the guns and to let them hide them without, that's just terrible. Wow. Are we bipolar or what? Which is it? So, another myth, here's law enforcement, right? Oh, well, how is law enforcement going to know the good guy from the bad guy?
Oh, that's a
Here's my answer. Standard answer. The bad guy is the one shooting at you. Right?
Yes.
So, well, what are they going to do if they come up on a scene and everybody's got guns? I'm like, what do they do now? They're gone now. You just can't see them. The guns are still there. There's no logical argument here, folks. But how about moral argument? Why are we having this argument in Texas? And oh, by the way, Texas is now a papers, please state.
Yes.
Papers, please. Papers, please. And I'm willing to bet you, and I'm looking across the room and I see the numbers, we probably got 10% in this room that think law enforcement should be able to come up and ask you for your CHL. So law enforcement sees you, well, I just need to know if you're a good guy. Let me see your license. There's people in this room, everybody's going to shake their head one way or the other, but I know there is. It's human nature. And I don't think you're a bad person for that. I just think you're wrong. Okay? People say, well, what's it matter? Well, what do you mean, what does it matter? How about if every time you're going to get in a car, we send a law enforcement officer over there to ID you and make sure you're good to go? Or if you're going to go shop in Walmart, hey, let me see your ID because we just want to make sure you're a good guy. We're going to run it real quick. Would you like that?
No.
Come on. Everybody knows there's a holster requirement in the law by now, I'm sure. The intent of that is this, and this is always asked law enforcement when I'm training them. How many bad guys, law enforcement, have you arrested with a gun and they had a holster? You know what the answer always is?
No.
0. 52 years at. 52 years. The intent of the holster issue was twofold. One, people didn't want people doing what's called Mexican carry and sticking it in your belt loop back there and just sticking it in there. That is a dangerous way to carry.
Yeah.
So that was one intent. The other intent was to differentiate you from the bad guy. All right. So I tell law enforcement, if you see me walking in Walmart after I walk out of here and you come up and ID me, I'm going to be ticked off. I will give you my ID because I have to, but I'm not going to like it. Right? All right, let's get into this. Contrary to popular belief and talking points, the world is not ended in the 44 states that have open carry. It is not ended, and more importantly, the fact the sky is not falling in the 31 states that have unlicensed open carry makes the opposition's head explode. So I'm a data guy, and you know who fought me the hardest on this? The gun community. I got way more trouble from the gun community than I did the Bloomberg cult, because Bloomberg cult's really irrelevant in Texas. I make fun of them because they literally are irrelevant. So it's kind of entertainment for me to watch those guys. They're fun. The bigger opposition came within the gun community. Oh, you just want to be a big shot and show off your gun? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Conceal carry. If you open carry, you're going to become a target. What? I've got data from 44 states that says you're on crack. Do you have any data to support that position? Oklahoma went open carry in 2012. Go get me some data that supports. Give me one example. One. No. As a matter of fact, scientific studies show the exact scientific studies. You notice I just said that? Scientific studies, the actual bona fide proven data shows that criminals are cowards. They look for soft targets. They look for weak targets. They want someone that can't fight back. This has been proven, scientifically proven. And so people say, well, when the bad guy walks in the bank and he sees you with the gun, he's going to shoot you first. I'm like, where do you get this stuff from? Quit watching TV. Turn the TV off. No, when the bad guy walks in and sees someone with a gun, he's going to turn around, he's going to go down the road to a place that didn't have the gun. But here's another way I like to put that. Okay, so bank robbery is a pretty excessive example, right? And by the way, they like picking the worst possible scenario. And they're like, 3 bank robbers come in there and they all got shotguns and they walk in and you've got a gun on your hip, they're going to shoot you. I'm like, huh? So same 3 bank robbers come in and 15 people are in that bank open carry. And by the way, I don't have a problem. That's not exactly. I really don't care how you carry. I really don't. Carry how you want. It makes me no difference. Just don't discount the other way of carrying. Don't act like it's inferior or you're better or you have your own reasons in your own mind, but just know you're not making them from a statistical data standpoint. If you're saying, I'm just not comfortable with it, that's an emotional decision, not a factual, data-driven decision. And that's fine. We make emotional decisions. That's great. Just understand why you're making it. And my wife, stand up, please. She open carries everywhere she goes. Right? And everywhere. She open carries unless she's wearing a dress, right? I'm not going to tell you where she carries her gun when she's wearing a dress. But the idea, they were freaking out that a woman would open carry. I'm like, a woman is the primary one that should be open carrying, going, I am not your easy target, go elsewhere. Go find the person over there that is walking and texting as they walk out of Walmart. Not paying attention to what they're doing. Yada, yada, yada. So, all right, Texas carries historical impact of the 84 session. I'm going to give you a history lesson now. So before 1995, you couldn't carry a handgun at all on your person at all. Couldn't do it. Breaking the law. In 1995, last night we had the grandfather of concealed carry, Jerry Patterson, very good friend of mine. I love him to death. He filed SB 60. Now I want you to look at the number of signatures on these bills. And if you want to give you an idea of our legislature, I about jumped out my seat when James White said, "When does accountability and competence come into play?" I'm like, "Yeah, when does that happen in the legislature?" Right? 2 signatures on SB 60 by Jerry Patterson when it passed. The companion bill, in the House version 72, only had 23 signatures when it passed. Now listen, folks, for 20 years, we kept getting ignored, thrown up on, nobody cared. Charles Cotton, who's a board member of the NRA, has diametrically opposed open carry. He's still talking trash about open carry, and me, by the way. And the same with the Texas State Rifle Association. They weren't interested in the fight. Matter of fact, they told me, I was specifically told to my face, that they are the big dogs, they are the big houses, we need to shut up and let them do what they want. That's what I was told. I'm like, you should have probably told somebody else that. Right? Because that is really going to get me motivated. So fast forward to 2013, Representative George Lavender was carrying for the second session licensed open carry. HB 700 had 22 signatures in the House. There was no Senate version. Right? What did 2015 look like? And let me just stop on that. I want to give credit to somebody else while we're here. There's also another organization that greatly impacted, probably two or three more, that greatly impacted the efforts. Open Carry Texas, without a doubt, had a huge impact from a protest standpoint. They were the loud ones. I was the one that went into the Capitol and was able to have conversations with the legislature. A great partnership. C.J. Grisham's a very, very good friend of mine. He's the president and founder of Open Carry Texas. Very, very necessary. Huge impact on getting all of this done. Whether you like it or not, I honestly don't care because it was absolutely necessary. So, I mean, none of us like going to the dentist, right? I mean, my 10-year-old, I told my wife the other day, "Hey, you need to get him scheduled for a dentist appointment." No, I don't want to go to the dentist, right? Well, you know, we don't always want to do the uncomfortable protest, so we have people that are willing to do that. And one of the things that we should always think about is what are they doing and why? Not enough people ask that. Not enough people asked. They just started bashing the activists and for what we were doing without actually trying to understand what was going on and the importance of it. And I tell you this, folks, because I fully expect the long gun protest to make its way back at some point. Well, what do you mean? Well, right now we're trying to get everybody comfortable, and well, comfortable is not the right word. We're trying to show everybody that the world is not going to end with open carry, and that nobody really cares about open carry to handgun, right? So that's what we're going to do over the next couple of years. We need your help. Open carry when you feel comfortable doing it, but at least do it every now and then, okay? But at some point, the constitutional carry fight is going to bring the long guns back out. Because you know you don't have to have a license today to carry a long gun. You can carry a shotgun, it's not regulated. You can carry a shotgun, always has been that way in Texas, and I promise you in my lifetime that's not going to change. It's not. So why is it that I need a license to carry this handgun, and I don't to carry my AR-15 or my AK-47 or my 12-gauge pump shotgun? Kind of illogical, right? So what did 2015 look like in the late 84 legislature with Texas Carry at the helm? Texas Carry's efforts led to a historical number of co-authors. We got a whopping 85 signatures on HB 910. Now that's unheard of on a gun bill. Unheard of. In the Senate version, we got 14 signatures. Now, I don't take credit for all 85, I'm sorry. I don't take credit for all 85. And the reason for that is, in October before the 84th session, my team and I had met, and I had set the goal. And I said, our goal is 80 signatures on our bill. And we publicized it, communicated it, and everybody was like, no way that's going to happen. Impossible. Right? And the team came back and said, no, the history says you can't do this. Everybody, I said, I understand that they could. But we can, and we will. So we held the mark on 80, and when I hit 78, I was about to have a heart attack. Right? And you can ask my wife. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, good job." Me, I'm like, "Them other 2 signatures, we were going to get them." I'm stressing out, right? 2 more signatures. I went to Rep. Phillips' office. I said, "I want to know who is going to be the other 2 signatures." "Well, we got 78. No, 80. Where's these 2? So finally, we got the other 2, and once we got those 2, amazingly enough, the other 5 said, "You know, we better get on this train or it's going to run us over." So I don't really take credit for the last 5. So they just kind of jumped on because they didn't want the train to run over. All right, so let's cover this today, and we're going to go through this kind of quickly at this point. We're going to talk about who can open carry. We're going to define open carry. We're going to talk about some holster requirements. We're going to talk about retention. And we're going to talk about prohibited places. We're going to talk about the 30-07 sign edition briefly. The sign violation change. Open carry in a vehicle. Training changes. And interacting with law enforcement. I always leave that last so I don't get shot. Now, I always speak to the audience that I know. So, one of the things you learn as a speaker is know your audience. Right? So, I've been kind of fun with this, a little politically aggressive. I'm not always that way. When I go to law enforcement, it's straight business. I mean, I still have a few jokes that I tell because they always look like they just ate a lemon. Right? So I try and lighten the mood up a little bit, but understand if y'all want, I have a full seminar that I do that we cover other things. I don't want anybody to say that's a little bit strong. I know my audience when I go talk to them, and I know how to communicate. Okay, so all right, very, very important. We know that the open carry law went into effect January 1st, 2016, the day of Armageddon. I know. So who can open carry? Well, unfortunately, you have to have a handgun license. Now, we have some serious activists in this room that I know and they know me, and some know the history and some don't. So a lot of people say, well, Terry, you sold that. HB 910 was a licensed carry bill. Right? Well, you're not a true Second Amendment supporter. I ain't got time for you if that's what you're going to tell me. I don't. So what had happened is about July or August, I had met with all the gun rights. I met with all the gun rights groups. So I met with Open Carry Texas, I met with Lone Star Gun Rights, and I met with Come and Take It Texas. Those were we were the ones on the ground raising all the noise. Right? And I sat down and I met with them. I said, okay, guys, here's what's going to happen. Y'all are going to carry the constitutional carry bills, and I'm going to support your bill. Okay? I'm going to go with the licensed open carry bill because no matter what happens at the end of this session, we have to have open carry. Got to have it. I said, I'm not asking you to support my bill. I'm just asking you not to oppose it. All agreed. Everybody agreed. Let what comes in the session comes. Well, unfortunately, Open Carry Texas is the only one that kept their word. Other groups turned on me, turned on our bill, and it got kind of ugly between the gun rights folks. C.J. Grisham and Open Carry Texas stayed neutral on our bill, just like was agreed upon. Until finally, at the very end, they went ahead and came all the way on board and supported our bill because that was the only thing we were going to get done. That was it. So, do I support licensed open carry? No. Was that what we needed to do to get open carry in Texas? That was it. And I was not going to have all the last 2 years of pain and suffering, 20 unlawful arrests. 20 arrests. All dismissed. Not a single conviction out of 20 arrests. And I was not going to let all that sacrifice go to waste. We were getting open carry one way or the other. And so, yes, you have to have a license to carry a handgun. Others, if you have a CHL today, there's no, you don't have to do nothing except put the shirt on the inside of your holster. Not a big deal. All right, so what is the definition of open carry? The handgun is partially or wholly visible, but is carried in a shoulder or belt holster. That's the definition of open carry. Just a quick warning. If the gun is partially or wholly visible and is carried on or about the license holder's person and it is not in a shoulder or belt holster, that can result in a Class A misdemeanor, unlawful carry by a license holder. What does that mean? It means I can't come down here to Austin in my skimpy jogging shorts and put on an ankle holster and go running through the city park. I'm going to get arrested for two things. One, indecent exposure. Don't want to see me in skimpy jogging shorts. All right? I'm a country boy. The only thing tan on me is my arms and my neck. But then they would arrest me for unlawful carry. And that's not a good thing. It's a Class A misdemeanor.
Is that ankle holster not a holster? I'm just trying to clarify.
We're going to get into that. So
Okay,
just
thank
hold on.
you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Open carry in a vehicle. This was an unintended consequence. It actually worked out kind of well for us. Can you open carry in a vehicle if you're a CHL holder? The answer, I'm not going to read all that because I'm trying to speed it up here. The answer is yes. If the handgun is a crime, let me just go ahead and read it. A person commits an offense if the person intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly carries on or about his or her person a handgun in a motor vehicle or watercraft that is owned by the person or under the person's control at any time in which the handgun is in plain view unless the person is licensed to carry a handgun under subchapter 8411 Government Code and the handgun is carried in a shoulder or belt holster. A couple key words. On or about. What's that tell you right out the hat? Nothing in the law requires you to what? Have it on your person. On or about. So as long as it's in a shoulder holster or a belt holster, you can lay it in your seat, you can put it in the dash, you can hang it off your rear view mirror for all I care. It's not a great idea. Honestly, because if you get in a wreck or whatever, you do not want your pistol bouncing all over, becoming a bullet all on its own and whacking you in the head or whatever. But can you? Yes. Done? So open carry holster requirements, this is going to answer your question. If the handgun is partially or wholly visible, it must be in a shoulder or belt holster. That's why you can't use an ankle holster. Has to be in a shoulder or belt holster. I'm going to give you a quick definition because I don't want anybody to ask me. If it's designed to go on a belt, it's a belt holster. Do you have to wear a belt? No. Nothing in the law says you have to wear a belt. So paddle holsters, inside the waistband holsters, drop leg holsters, all of those are designed to attach to the belt. You're fine. Don't complicate it. The whole point behind the holster requirement is they just didn't want you to stick it in your waist and they wanted to differentiate you from a bad guy. Law enforcement is cracking me up. Oh, no, that's not a legal holster. It's got to have belt loops in it. You got to have a belt on it. It's got to be a tactical 511 belt. I'm like, whoa! Oh, just because you don't like it, don't start trying to rewrite the law in your own image. And then, bad. There are no retention requirements. So, I'll tell you something else we did in the Senate. This was actually a debated issue in the Senate committee here. So it was myself on one side of the debate, anti-retention debate, and then we had the Assistant Chief of Police of Houston PD on the other side. And he was like, oh, we got to have level 3 retention holsters. Oh man, are you trying to get our CHL holders killed? Right? I mean, a level 3 retention holsters, you got to make several moves to get the holster out of the gun. Right? And I'm like, hold on there, guys. I said, we're not law enforcement. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, law enforcement is running over, chasing bad guys, and putting their hand on them. Right? They're wrestling. They're getting on the ground, right? They're elbowing and kneeing and tasing. Right? They like their tasers. That's the one thing that scares me about being an activist. I haven't been tased yet, but I'm always afraid they're going to tase me. Right? We don't do that. Right? CHL holders are going to sit at Luby's. They're going to eat their dinner. And if someone shoots at them, they're going to shoot back. We're not chasing bad guys. That's law enforcement's job. We're not wrestling with people. We're not trying to incarcerate them for a duty. Right? And believe me, if you've ever been to jail, you don't want to go back. It's scary, right? solicitor. Retention, this is important. While there are no retention requirements in the law, we should be aware of good retention practices regardless, whether you conceal or open. So here's where I like to go after the ladies. Where is the absolute worst place to carry your gun?
Handbag.
In a purse. Absolute worst place. I get it. So now this is where I recover and I get brownie points. Okay? I get it. I have a wife. The Lord blessed me with a wife. So I understand body shape, clothes fit, this clothes style that you wear makes it very difficult for a lady to conceal on her person. So now here's where I say you're welcome. Because this law made it a lot easier for you to be able to carry on your person. It just did. If you are going to carry in a purse, I'll just give these recommendations. Because sometimes you're going to have to. That's just the end of the story. Get you an actual purse holster. They actually design them so it's got its own pocket where the handgun goes. That's number one, so your keys and your lipstick and your hair liner don't hit the booger hook in there and make it go bang. Right? Second thing is, make sure it's got the long shoulder straps so that when you're carrying it, you loop it over your neck and it straps this way. You're not carrying the short one. Why? They can't come snatch it. Plus, when you do take it off and you're in your shopping area, wherever you're shopping, right? We don't shop at H-E-B, right? Amen. So, when you're in a good grocery store, Kroger, yeah, amen. Kroger's awesome, but unfortunately, not everybody has a Kroger. But put it in your buggy. You take the long handle straps, you tie it, literally tie it off to your buggy handles in a knot. That way, when you turn around, you get your ribeye steaks or whatever you're getting, somebody can come up and snatch it out of your deal. Okay? So you can still carry safely in a purse. You just need to make sure you're doing it the right way. Good retention practices, so situational awareness. Everybody in this room should have known that this was a safe place to open carry. Should have been no problem. Right? If I'm going into a Democrat convention, I'm probably not carrying. I'll carry it at any city council meeting as long as they don't ban it. Body position, so when you're standing in line at a store, somebody comes up and is standing behind you, you turn your body in such a way just to keep a good, safe bubble space. And ladies, you would want to do that with your purses anyway, right? So it's just good practice. And then get a good holster. You cannot buy a good holster at Walmart. If you bought a holster at Walmart, throw it in the garbage. No. An Academy only sells one good holster. Just one. And they just started selling it. I used to say you can't get a good holster at Academy or Walmart. But somebody corrected me the other day and said, well, Academy sells this one holster now. And I forget, it's either a Galco or an ALS. I forget which one it is. Not a Circle. Okay? Get a good holster. Why? Okay, ladies, you're open carrying, and you're in Kroger's, and your children or your grandchildren are with you, and somebody starts shooting. What are you going to do? Run! Right? You getting the kids and you're running. That's what's happening. You're running. Guys, what are you going to do? Run! Right? We're running too. We ain't, No, but you don't want when you're running, regardless of how you're going to respond, you're not going to stand there. You're either going to run out, or guys, we may run too. I think we should run too, but I'm going to leave that to your personal conscience. All right? You don't want the gun falling out of the holster. Okay? People will say, well, can't somebody come up from behind you and take your gun? I did a little thing the other day. Somebody had sent a report from something that happened up north. This had actually happened to somebody up north. Guy had his gun taken or something like that. I went and did a little Google search and I said, people robbed for cell phone. I'm like, so here's this list, this long of people that were targeted for their cell phone. And we have this one guy over here. that was actually targeted for your gun. But let me say this, and I was talking to my wife about this on the way over here. There's a risk in a lot of things that we do, right? I mean, if you walked out of here last night at 10 o'clock and said, I need to run to Walmart, you're taking a risk at 10 o'clock at night. If you're a lady and you're by yourself, right, you're taking a risk. If you walk around carrying a purse, you're taking a risk. So yes, you need to be aware there's a risk in all that we do. That's what situational awareness is, right? That's why you want a decent holster. You know, people say, well, Terry, what are you going to do if somebody comes up and takes your gun? That's what I'm going to do. Right? I'm not going to fight them over my gun. I'm going to keep my hand on my gun, I'm going to pull that out, and we're going to finish. And so, there is some level of risk in all that we do. My question is, what are you going to do if somebody comes up and grabs you from behind, whether you're if you're concealed carrying? What are you going to do? All right? So, get a good holster. You want some level of retention, right? Whilst the holster holds the gun, but I can come up from her and I can grab that gun out of her holster. I absolutely can. She too has a knife. So there's things that you can do, all right? We don't go to bad parts of town at 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay? All right, I'm going to try and move past some of this. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. I don't want you to read it either. It's just too much. So, everywhere that you could conceal carry before January 1, you can open carry today, except for one place. How many people know that you can conceal carry today on college property? You can. I can go in the parking garages, the sidewalks, the walkways, the common areas outside. I can walk outside till the cows come home and conceal carry. What I can't do is go inside one of those buildings until August the 1st. I'm not covering campus carry today. If you want that, you need to get my full seminar. So yeah, you can conceal carry on campus today, on campus property. You just can't go into one of the buildings. You can't go to a sporting event. All right? No open carry on college property. That's the only place that you can conceal carry that by law you cannot open carry. So yeah, you can carry. I've had people say you can carry into a bank. Yeah. And banks have never been prohibited. Can you carry into a governmental meeting? We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, I'm in a rough crowd here, but I'm going to do it anyway. But one of the things this does is shows that I have integrity. I mean, I do say what I believe, and I believe what I say. You don't have to agree with me. Right? There is a place that you can conceal carry today that it's going to be a very, very, very bad idea to open carry. Who wants to take a shot at it?
Take the state capitol.
Oh no, I'm open carrying here like a big dog.
Church.
Oh no, I open carry. I'm pastor. I open carry every Sunday. I'm called school. K through 12. School.
Yeah.
K through 12. This isn't a debatable issue. I'm not trying to debate. I'm just saying here's what's going to happen. If you're going to do that, do me a favor. Call me a day before. Let me get my lawyers to write your will and will everything to me. Because you're going to go to a little kindergarten class and Miss Sally Mae teacher is going to, 26, 24, 22-year-old teacher is going to see a guy with a gun. 911. Guy with the gun at the kindergarten. So this is already, and you're just going around, it's a beautiful day, you're not thinking nothing. Mr. Sheriff is not going to walk up and say, hey, Mr. Holcomb, how you doing? It's good to see you today, sir. I see you're open carrying, people are a little bit nervous about it. No, they're freaking out. That's not what's going to happen. SWAT's going to come, and they're going to post up 500 yards down the road, and they're going to put a crosshair right there on my forehead. Okay? All right. So, just not a good idea. A lot of people don't agree with that sentiment. The liberty movement, but that's just the way it is. Okay? All right. So here's our current prohibited places. Weapons are prohibited on the physical premises of a school, on the premises on a polling place on the day of election. Y'all know why that law passed? On the premises of a polling place. That law passed because all the mass shooters in the last 20 years have been Democrats. That's actually a fact. That's not made up. That's actually true. So they figured that they wanted to protect the Liberty Republicans, right? Amen? All right. Premises of a racetrack into a secured area of an airport. How many of you know that you can carry a gun into an airport? How many people know that? Absolutely. You can. You can absolutely carry. You just can't go up to the grope to fill you up pedophile TSA people. None of that. Right? But where you check in, where you do your baggages, all that, you go and walk in there, open carry, concealed carry now, it's all good. They expect someone to come up and talk to you, but you can lawfully do it. Yes?
I think whenever you fly, you're supposed to lock it into a case
Yeah, sure.
and check it.
Yeah, I said you can't go past the grope to fill you up
If you
pedophile
carried
people.
it in, would you be taking it out to put it in the
No,
case?
if I carried it in, it was because I'm dropping you off at the airport.
Okay, so it wouldn't be, you wouldn't wear it.
No,
and
if you're
take
going
it
to
out,
travel, no, you want to keep, if you're going to travel and you're the one that's actually flying, no, you would have it in the case and you would check it the right way. You would not carry it in and try and case it in there.
Yeah.
That wouldn't go well. So, I'm not going to, so the law changed on the airport deal. Now, before, if you forgot you had your gun, bad things happen. Now, if you're a CHL holder and you get to it and you realize, oh, it was in my carry bag or it was in my briefcase, I forgot. Now they give you an opportunity to turn around and leave if you're a CHL holder. The legislature really thought Texas citizens should be taken care of on that. Do you believe what I just said?
No.
It actually happened to 2 representatives. That's why the law passed. All right, I don't want to read that. The other places that are off limits of if a place derives 51% or more from on-premises consumption, so a bar, it's got to be a bar, on the premises where a high school, collegiate, or professional sporting event or interscholastic event is taking place. That didn't change even with campus carry. Still can't go to a football game and carry, and on the premises of a correctional facility. What about these? On the premises of a hospital, an amusement park, on the premises of a church, and at any meeting of a governmental entity. These are all straight from the code. This is 46035B4, 5, 6, and C. Prohibited places. Well, I'm a pastor and I carry every Sunday at church and I open carry. And my entire congregation is packing. If a bad guy comes into my church, it is not going to end well for him. But I will have done my call duty and introduced him to the Lord Jesus Christ. I won't even have a chance to draw because everybody in my church, every single adult in my church has a gun. So it's no problem. What about these though? Actually, they're only prohibited if they're posted with a 30-06 or a 30-07. A governmental meeting can choose to post or choose not to post. So y'all's local governments, your city councils, your commissioners' courts, if they're doing this, they are not Republicans. I don't care what's next to their name. They're liars. We don't like that language, do we? I will call them a liar straight to their face. You're a liar. You're not a Republican. Look, I can carry into the Capitol. I can go to the governor's office. I can go to the lieutenant governor's office. I go to the senator's office. And by the way, they always know I'm packing. 2 reasons. Even before open carry. 1, I hand them my CHL, and 2, these were always back here. Always. They always knew I was carrying. So if we can go to a senator's office, and here's what they'll say. Oh, well, these city councils, they get emotional. I'm like, have you been on the House floor? And all those people down there got guns, right? I'm waiting for it. I'm like, oh, they're going to start shooting. They're going to start shooting. You know, come on. It's ridiculous. CHL are the most law-abiding citizens in the state. I'll give you a little statistic. Of all crime committed in Texas, from Class B misdemeanor and up, less than 0.3% are committed by CHL holders. Shall I give you law enforcement statistics? I typically don't do that. Actually, crime committed by law enforcement is 2%. But what do they say? Only law enforcement can have guns in the building. I'm like, really? We're more law-abiding than they are. Really? If your city council is banning guns from city hall meeting, they are not Republicans. I don't care what's next to their name. They're not. Quit letting them say they are. Tell them they're not. Tell them you need to get over there to the Democrat Party because that's what you are. You're Democrats. Don't be afraid to say it either. All right, 30-07. So we have a new sign, 30-06. Told CHL holders, the private property, we don't want you to come in here concealed carrying. 30-07 is the same thing, but for open carry. So if a private business doesn't want you to open carry, they can put this 30-07 sign up. Okay? And it says that they don't want us open carrying in their establishment. If they don't want to either, they need to post both signs. Now let me tell y'all something, folks. Y'all need to understand this. We got some bad people in this state. The Bloomberg cult are bad, evil people. They have ill intent. And they don't really hate guns. That's not what they hate. It's not. They hate liberty. They hate freedom. They hate our form of government. They hate it. They want to fundamentally transform it and put us under the foot of government. That is absolutely their desire. They don't really care about guns other than they know guns are standing in the way of what they want to accomplish. So they're going around and they're lying to businesses. Intentionally lying. They're going around saying, this is a new government sign and it's mandated you put it up because you sell alcohol in your store. That's a bold-faced lie. So when you walk up to a convenience store and you see the two signs come up, calm down. Okay? And go in. Don't argue with a store clerk. Don't do that. Politely get the owner's name. And get a hold of that owner. Set an appointment. Be educated on the law. Be able to articulate it. Be able to be professional, respectful, and go sit down and have a conversation with them. Okay. They're telling me I got to wrap it up. Shall I take my rebellious side and say no? I do want to go over this. This was the biggest success, and then we'll end it here. This was the biggest success of the session. This is going to take 5 minutes. I was sitting in a committee hearing, and the liars, the Bloomberg cult, were in there. And they walked in with this sign, and they walked up to the microphone, and they held this sign up, and this sign was like 7 foot tall. It was like 4 foot wide. And they're like, this is what businesses have to post. That's not true. It was a bold-faced lie. And they were saying, we need to eliminate the 30-06, we need to eliminate the 30-07, and we need to go to a max size, max, no minimum, gunbuster sign with a gun and a circle through it that says no guns. I'm like, understand what you're trying to do. Because most insurance requires companies to put that up there. So here we are being nefarious. I said, okay. Popped my computer open, typed up a quick bill, walked down to James White's office, as a matter of fact. We're at James White's office. I said, I need to borrow your printer. He said, okay. Plugged in, printed it off, walked out of his office, walked down to Representative Matt Schaefer's office. I said, Matt Schaefer, do you think that if I miss a sign, 30-06 or 30-07 sign, that I should be convicted of a Class A misdemeanor? Really? He goes, that's in there? Most of the legislature didn't even know that. I said, that is in there. Don't you think that's unreasonable? He said, that is absolutely unreasonable. I said, will you carry our bill to change it from a Class A misdemeanor to a Class C? Not just a Class C, max fine of $200. Ticketable offense. Absolutely. So we're thinking we're going to have this big fight, right? Because I'm like, all right, Bloomberg Colton wants to mess around and play like this, I'm going to show him how to play to win. And so we're sitting there on the floor, HB 910 is being debated, and the next thing I know, Rep. Matt Schaefer gets up there and he says, I want to make an amendment. I'm like, you didn't tell me he was making an amendment. I'm not even thinking of my bill, right? And he throws it out there. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to get real, right? Rep. Phillips goes, well, and Phillips was saying no amendments on the bill. And we had all actually agreed to that. No amendments. I'm like, let it go, right? And then finally he goes, I'm just going to leave it to the will of the House. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, we got it. Pass unanimously. This right here is a big deal. Now if you don't see a sign, 30-06 sign for y'all that conceal carry. If you don't see the sign, it's a Class C ticketable offense with a max fine of $200. So, gun-free zones are dangerous. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, we got it. Pass unanimously. This right here is a big deal. Now, if you don't see a sign, 30-06 sign for y'all that conceal carry. If you don't see the sign, it's a Class C ticketable offense with a max fine of $200. So, gun-free zones are dangerous. I'm going to close this and just say this, folks. There are different ways to win fights, to win battles. Respect, especially people that are on your side. Respect what they're doing. Try and understand. Reach out to them and talk to them. Because a lot of people just judged us without ever talking to us, even within the liberty movement and within the gun community. We are actually reasonable thinking people. We just happen to understand that the legislature won't move on some things unless you get really, really loud. Thank y'all. God bless you. God bless Texas.